the headline, the first sentence, and then go down to the order information at the end. Now, does that mean everybody will do that? Of course not. But will the majority do that? Yes, because the graphic elements help guide the eye. So that's why there's a drop first letter, and I use a drop first letter on virtually all ads, all brochures for the first word in a piece of copy. I already mentioned the photograph with a caption, always a caption under the photograph. Now notice that there is a lot of what's called subheadlines. Subheadlines. Look at the subheadline. A must for leaders. Doesn't a good speech take time to prepare? Does a good speech take time to prepare? What do you think? Absolutely. Oh, thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Either I'm not working it right or...
That's not good. I'll go away.
Thanks, Andrew. He'll find a solution. Will the pointer help? Will the pointer help you guys? Because I'll be able to point at things. But until that happens, I'll just show you a must for leaders. Doesn't a good speech take time to prepare? We have one? This works. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I got it, yeah. Thank you. Okay. Here we are. A must for leaders. Doesn't a good speech take time to prepare? Put Ronald Reagan's chief speechwriter on your team. You're interested in public speaking. You're going to read. You think you're going to keep reading? President Ronald Reagan, there's a testimonial from the president. Is that a good testimonial? Well, of course, with his permission to use. Get answers to these important questions. How much is one good speech worth? You know, one good speech can make a career, can it? One good speech can make a career. Guarantee, very powerful word. For 1993, free. What's the most powerful word in any language? Free. Look how many times it's used. If you order now, we'll send you free, absolutely free. Act now. And what's the first word of the order form? Free. Free trial request. And what's the first word of the order form? Yes. Remember yes? Please send me the now, notice this dotted line around the coupon. Is it thick or thin? It's thin, because selling is what kind of a process? Sequential. What do graphic designers want to do when they take your ad? They want to make these great, big, thick coupons because they think it looks better. See, the graphic designer is oriented differently, and that's okay. Most graphic designers are, because they think it looks better to them. But I'm not interested in what looks good to the graphic designer. I'm interested in the sequence to the consumer, because I have a lot of products sitting in the warehouse to sell. That's what my job is, to sell the products, right? That's your job and mine. So you want to have a thick coupon because of the sequential process. Okay. We're running out of juice? It's red in front, but then it doesn't. We need a new battery, or Andrew's coming. Anyway, you get that sequence, you get those concepts. Now at the very bottom of the ad, there is the following words. C, copyright, 1993, or whatever year it is, your company name. Because what you want to do is, here's what I found. As my ads run all over the world, more people are ripping me off, trying to rip me off all the time, because if it's successful, you get people that want to copy you. And when they copy my ads or my headlines or the things, I send a cease and desist letter. That's your intellectual property. That's how you make a living. And 95% of the time, they stop. They get scared and they stop. 5% of the time, we have to sue them. We sue them. Get your lawyer, turn it over to your lawyer, sue them. Stop. You have to stop using, because that's the way we market our products. We have somebody in Germany right now who's copying one of the ads for Green Power, copied word for word of the ad. I mean, it's ridiculous. So we have to stop them. So but the copyright, what does it do? It gives you a little bit of common law, what's called common law legal protection. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. But to register with a copyright office, every single ad that you do is a little bit of a laborious process. It costs a few bucks. What I always do, we run so many ads, a lot of them are tests, and we just put the copyright notice on everything, on ads, on brochures, and it gives you a little more protection. So that's what I recommend you do. These are some of the things that are behind. Okay, here's some other very important things. Notice how many columns are in this ad. How many columns? 3 columns. There's a reason for it, because 3 columns are easier to read. Most people, when they do, they want to have 1 or 2 columns. That makes the column widths too great with big blocks of copy that are intimidating to the reader, and the reader will not read those. So you want to have in bite-sized pieces. Plus, you remember the word advertorial. I want my ad to look very much like an article in a magazine or newspaper, because it is like an article. There's a lot of information in that ad, whether you buy or not. Because if you don't buy this week, you may buy next week. And I want my ad to look like information that happens to be an ad. I'm not ashamed that it's an ad. I'm proud that it's an ad. But I don't want to scream it to the customer, because a lot of people have a negative view of ads. They're afraid because why? Because they may have to spend what? Money. And they don't want to spend money. They don't have the money, or they're afraid of the money, or they're scared, or their wives told them, or husbands, you better not spend any more money on these kind of products, right? So they don't do it. So what you want to do is get people into the copy and do it with these techniques. Now, I want to show you, let's see if we've captured everything. Oh, okay, we have it. Notice the typeface of the copy is what's called a serif typeface. A serif typeface, or with the little curlicues on it, it happens to be a Times Roman typeface, and the reason I use it, it's easier to read. You're here to get out of your comfort zone slightly, but you don't want your customers out of their comfort zone. You want your customers in their comfort zone. It's easier to read. It looks like an editorial. It's the way other copies in good newspapers like the Sunday Times, the London Times, New York Times, Washington Post, the best newspapers of the world, the best magazines of the world, like The Economist, they all have this kind of typeface. You want to have your ads look like the best publications in the world. Okay? Now, I found through tests, see this right column of each of the columns. I found that either, this is what's called, in some cases here, it's a ragged right column or a justified right column. I found it doesn't make any difference. You can use what you like. I use mostly ragged right columns. Ragged right means it's uneven. Okay, like this is for the most part. Okay, let's see if we've covered, and this is where you can capture all this in your notes. So every time you look at an ad, when you create an ad, if you have a graphics person working with you, if you have an employee, if you have an assistant, you use this checklist so that you can run your ad by this checklist to see whether it meets these standards. I'll leave this up for a minute. Upper and lower case headlines, you remember? Serif body typeface means with the curlicues. What I did not cover is the limited use of reverse. You remember the first big ad that I showed you before that had the first corporate book on my corporate, what I call my corporation book, the first full-page ad had a black background on the headline. Do you remember that? I've tested black background versus white background, and white background with black letters works better. Don't use reverse. Your graphics people like to use the reverse because they think it's cool. But you don't want to be cool, you want to be successful. Drop first letter we covered. Subheads. I didn't comment more on subheads. Subheads do 2 things. They break up large blocks of copy, and they're very effective for readers with short attention spans. people can read the subheads in this ad. They can read the headline, the subheads, the order information, and order the product because they basically have a short story about the product. You see what I'm saying? Short attention span reader, boom, they can go right through to the, so you break up the big blocks of copy, and it's very effective for the person. They get a lot of benefits just reading the subheads. All right. Okay. Caption the photos, I've covered that. Coupon, thin coupon it should say, it says coupon, thin coupon.